I'd like to challenge you to think about the way you use email. And I'm not here to tell you that email is bad, but I also want you to know that just because we have a lot of email, it doesn't mean that it's good either. In fact, when you hear the word email, what do you feel? When I ask that question to groups of people, I often hear things like, I feel overwhelmed, or I feel guilty, I feel burdened. But email is in our businesses for a reason. It serves a purpose. It actually solves business problems. And so what business problems are you trying to solve? Again, the answers I get are things like, well, we need to share ideas. We need to get someone's opinion. We need to seek approval or to check someone's review or comments. So we use email to do that. And so how's that actually going in your company? Is that working? Is it efficient? So we want to question this maybe, and actually question not only that, but also question this new social stuff. I mean, what is this social stuff? And I hear that maybe that's the answer. I mean, people say email is going away, but so what's going to replace it? And as far as the social stuff concerned, don't panic. Social's not bad, but also I tell people don't be too comfortable because social's not all good. Not all that it does, and not the way people use it is not always the best. So let's take a step back. We did a study last year, and our CEOs that we studied said that creativity was the #1 quality they were looking for in their leadership in the next 5 years. So how do you make your company creative? And the reason I even use this example is because we need to spark conversation. We need to spark this creativity, and part of this is by opening the conversation. There's a guy, Steven Johnson, who wrote a book, Where Good Ideas Come From. And in that book, he speaks of how people have ideas. The idea is like a hunch. You think about it for a little period of time. Sometimes it may even go away and you sleep on it or even forget about it. But someday, you're in a situation where your little hunch actually meets up with someone else who has a similar hunch or an associated idea, or maybe even is an idea off the topic, but you can relate it, and you have this moment of breakthrough. You have this new idea, which is one of the things we try to do with email, is we try to spread ideas and share ideas. So let's take a look at all the things that we think email is good for and understand how might social help these business problems that we've used for email. Now, I'm not suggesting that everything you use email for, social can take care of, but I am suggesting that social might be a more effective and a more efficient means of actually addressing some of these problems. So let's take a look at a couple of them. One way to do this is with opening the conversation. And what I mean by that is we should have conversations in the open where people can hear us. People, maybe not just the person that we're actually talking to. Often in the case of email, you have a question and you think you know someone who has an answer, or maybe you know a number of people who you think might have the answer. That's just an email transaction. I write the question, I send it to that person or to that group of people in hopes that they'll actually return with the answer or with the information I need. If, however, the question is such that I could ask it more in the open, then I might not only get the person's attention, but I'll also maybe get the attention of people around them. For instance, this is a screenshot of how we do status updates within IBM. And this is also, by the way a number of our customers use our products. So these status updates are just short little messages of people telling others what they're doing, what they're thinking, the questions they have, things they're looking for, and these are just little short messages. So I might post, I'm going to go visit a customer today. I might post, I'm working on a particular project today. People will post things like, I'm looking for a particular piece of information. Does anyone know? And then others who are around them can comment on them. A brilliant use of this recently was someone posted on my wall a question which I couldn't answer. It was a technical question, and when I saw the question, the answer was already there. Someone else around me had already answered that. What the person had done was they had asked the question knowing that I didn't know the answer, but knowing that I knew someone who would. And so instead of sending me an email that I would have turned around and sent to 5 or 6 targeted people, they just asked the question in the open, loud enough around me, so to speak, socially, so that the people around me would hear it and they would answer it for them. It took me out of the loop. It actually had the question answered within a matter of minutes rather than me being the bottleneck of trying to forward emails and find resources. And when you look at social, one of the things that it gives us value for is it helps you kind of target an audience for a conversation. Within social systems, you have networks and you have groups like communities, and these groups of people have a common interest, a common bond, maybe a common level of expertise. And so you can use things like communities to say, I want to have a conversation. I want to discuss something. Maybe I want to share an idea. Maybe I want to find a particular resource or find someone. All these things that we use email for, I can actually go to a social community and I may be able to get my questions answered, find the resource I'm looking for, because I'm actually looking at a specific audience, not just a person, but maybe a collection place where someone who I don't know yet actually introduces themselves to me through the use of a brilliant article or an answer that they've given to a previous question. And at IBM and with those companies that are moving towards social business, we're really becoming a culture of sharing the wealth. In fact, I had a lady tell me recently, she said, the thing about social is I can be as smart as you, it just takes 5 minutes later. And the idea is that if we act socially, if we share our knowledge socially, then it becomes available to anyone else in the organization, and they can actually consume that and use it and be as smart as you. Often is the case if we take a look at things like discussion forums and again, conversations that are out in the open. I could have a question. In fact, someone could be on the phone with me. Someone may be in an instant message with me asking me a question, and I need to then answer that. Well, I can often quickly at my social network find a discussion that's going on, find a place where people are talking about this or where the questions have been asked previously. I'll find the answer, and then I'll relay that to the person. And it actually makes you look smart because it's like you have the knowledge. And in fact, you do. But the knowledge came from your social network. And it's not a matter of actually going through and looking through emails trying to find it. It's actually a great thing about just being able to reach into your social network and grab that knowledge and deliver it as your own knowledge, because it is. Then within social, you can also do things like frame the conversation. And this is a little more than just, say, going to a community and asking a question. This is around within social, you can actually ask questions and you can start conversations and you start garnering ideas. And it's really good to frame it. And by frame it, I mean give them some boundaries. Say, here's what I want to talk. We want to talk about this particular topic, or give us some things in this particular area. Within IBM, we've always been very well known for doing idea jams, in which we put a topic of conversation out. Please tell us the next big environmental project we should do at IBM, or please tell us how we should conserve energy at IBM, or please give us some ideas around some new products. And what happens is we open that conversation up for a period of time, and people suggest things, and within the suggestions, there's often conversations going on. Within our products, we actually allow you to have these things called ideation blogs, which is nothing more than just a feature name for a discussion. And the discussion is one, however, where people are encouraged on a particular topic or a particular question to post ideas in these little micro blogs or these little small blogs. And then what happens is people will then comment on them saying, great idea, but I would think of it differently, a little way. That actually encourages people to refine their ideas, and often they do. And then there's also the option for people to vote, and so they give their approval. I think this is something that's worthy. I think this is something that's that I agree with this, and that voting actually brings to the top those ideas that have the most social value, or most social weight at least, which often will drive the attention of executives, or actually can be, in this case, based on a particular threshold level. After a certain number of people vote on it, it can actually be graduated to a project, for instance, and actually kick off another social tool called activities, and actually go off and do something and have something happen with that. A lot of this that we do, instead of using email, we're very focused on capturing the bright moments. We don't normally think of email as being the place where these little ideas and little concepts come up. And I'll give you an example. My kids are now grown, but when they were younger, in a kindergarten class, they actually did a session. I guess it was at a Christmas pageant or something. They were all standing across the front of the stage, and they were singing. Little 4- and 5-year-old kids. At one part of the program, the teacher took a cardboard box and went down the line and let kids pull out of that little rhythm instruments, little blocks with sandpaper on it that they would rub together, little sticks that they would clack, and one kid had this triangle. Well, at the end of a couple of songs using the rhythm sections, the teacher said, now we're going to put our rhythm instruments away, and we're now going to sing a couple more songs. Well, she didn't come by with a box, and so the kids were standing there with these rhythm instruments knowing that they were useless now, and so they were trying to figure out what to do with them. And most people were taking them, putting them in their pockets and whatever. Well, the one kid on the end, with a little boy with, I remember him to this day, he had his triangle, and so he took the triangle, and he looked down the line, and he saw people putting things in their pockets, so he thought, I'm going to put this in my pocket. So he took one corner of the triangle and stuck it in his pocket. Well, it didn't fit, and so he pulled it out, turned it around to the other corner, and stuck that in his pocket. And he kept doing that over and over again, just trying the same solution over and over again. All the time, kind of glancing down the aisle, looking at the other kids singing. He was concerned. He needed to start singing. In fact, you could tell he was trying to sing, but he was distracted with this problem. Now, we in the audience were just paying total attention to him and what he was doing. The rest of the group was singing. The teacher was leading them. But this little kid had a problem. He was trying to solve it. And then, out of just a stroke of nowhere, a brilliant solution came to mind. He stuck the clanger in his pocket, hung the triangle on the clanger, and then stepped forward and started singing with the rest of his students. And the interesting thing was he was unimpressed with his solution. He had solved the problem, and now he was more interested in getting back in line and singing again. Now, we in the audience actually thought that was a brilliant idea. In fact, so much so that we almost applauded. There was quite a fervor that took place in the audience, so much so that the teacher actually looked over her shoulder like, what's going on? I don't understand. We're singing here, and you're out here almost clapping. What's the deal? I tell people this happens every day in our companies. Within our companies, we have somebody sitting in a cubicle. We have someone on a project. We have someone using one of our office systems. They're doing something, and they're struggling with the problem. And they look around them, and they feel like this problem is holding me back. The rest of my people are moving on. The rest of my team's depending on me, and I have this problem that I need to solve. And often, more than you can possibly imagine, they come up with some brilliant solution that only they know about because they fix their problem, and then they move on, just like the little kid with the triangle. Now, there could have been a kid at the other end of the line with a triangle, and he would have loved to have known how to fix the problem. Likewise, the thing that impressed me most about this was the teacher, the manager, the person who's letting these people work or watching these people work or guiding them in their work, often is even unaware that our people are struggling, that they're trying to solve a problem, that they're not in step, and they need our help. But this individual, this manager, doesn't even know that the problem existed, nor do they know that this person came up with a brilliant solution. That's one of those things that you just don't solve with email. You don't send out an email blast saying, by the way, guys, I found a great answer to a problem. Those are the kinds of things that you make social. In fact, one of the values of social is it's very easy to do. It's low impact, and it's easy in that I can just, when this thing happens or when this idea hits me, it's very easy and it's quite accepted for me just to post it as a status update. By the way, guys, I found this great solution. Here it is. I found this great topic. Here it is. I found this item that you should know about. Does anyone have an answer to how to put a triangle in my pocket? Though it's very easy for me just to send that message out to an audience of people that I believe know the answer, or maybe even to a broader audience that I have no idea who might know. And it has very low impact on me as a user. And even for those constituents, the ones who are actually looking at this or reviewing this, it's low impact. It's not in my face. It's not cluttering up my email inbox. It's a low impact kind of a solution, but yet the value is significant. Again, because these ideas bounce off of one another, and you have these eureka moments, and these little tiny things matter. I don't know if you've ever had this problem approached in email, but I know that it's often when I'm speaking to someone and I talk to them about a particular topic, about the way I manage a particular business application or whatever, and they tell me, oh yeah, I used to have that problem, but here's what I did, and they share that with me, and I go, man, I wish I had known this 6 months ago. It would have saved me hours of time. So again, this is something that the social will do that actually often is difficult to do, if not impossible, in email. And the thing about the social solution like this is it keeps on giving. It's not like an email inbox that's just going to get old and stale, and we know how we archive this stuff off. In fact, I had one person tell me that when people leave their company, they actually archived all the emails. And I asked them, I said, how long have you been doing this? And he said, oh, for about a decade. And I said, has anyone ever asked you to rehang a tape of that old emails session so that people can actually review it? And he said, never. And what's interesting is when you use a social network like this, we've already discovered this within our own company, that people may leave our company from, say they retire. but their knowledge, their input, their ideas remain on, and they stay within the company. And maybe some people, which I know some people that are brilliant, their ideas are often well ahead of other people's needs. And so they put their idea out there, and then when the person's need comes along, they're actually able to find it, because this person maybe have retired and moved on. Maybe you just moved to another project and it's no longer your responsibility. But the idea is there, the answer is there. It's easy for me to get that. So it actually keeps on giving, unlike email, which is kind of a knowledge trap, a knowledge briar pit or whatever, where accidents actually go to die. So I encourage you, if you're in your company and you're thinking about this, think more about interaction. Think more about the conversation. Email is very much a transaction system, and it's good for that. It's good for these transactions, these short messages, maybe just a one-time question, that's fine, or maybe a one-time update. What are you doing for dinner? When are we meeting for this project? Those types of things are good email correspondence. But more than that, you want to have these interactions. You want to actually take your company from being an organization with structure and rigor, and often that structure and rigor stifles a bit of the creativity, the bit of outside influence. Go from an organization to an organism, something that's growing and live and moves and continues to live and to breathe off of the ideas and the concepts that are out there, and doesn't get stale. And I ask you, don't expect magic. Don't expect your company just to take this social solution and sprinkle it on it, and all of a sudden every good idea bubbles to the top, and everyone's having conversations out in the open. It's taken us a while to get to the point now with our email systems that we're actually abusing them quite a bit. It's taken us a while to get to the point where we've become so dependent on this technology of email and the way we have these conversations that it may be difficult to kind of break out of that. But believe me, it's worth the journey. I can tell you from example that I've moved to a method by which I do email 3 times a day, in the morning, in the middle of the day, and in the evening. Each time I do, I try to empty my inbox, and most times I do. My conversations are being held outside, so that when people ask questions that need answers, often I'll answer them out in my social network where other people can get to that. And that purpose of doing that, and the way of doing that, is people now have come for my information. Instead of coming to me through email, they go to my social area, in which they actually often self-serve. They actually get the answers they need, and an email is never generated. We do projects, and the projects are actually managed and controlled in these social networks, and the activity happens there, and so everyone just doesn't get a lot of clutter email. And it takes us a while to get there, but during the course of a week, I probably save 4 or 5 hours of time, because I don't spend my time with my head in my inbox. I'm spending my time looking around, looking for new answers, looking for questions, looking for ways to leverage my information. So I say, get out of your inbox. Pick your head up, look around, see other ways that you could possibly communicate. And if you actually offer this to your company, if you actually provide this type of a system to your company, you may not be able to direct and say exactly how people are going to use it. In fact, I would encourage you that that's not going to happen. Your people are going to use this for amazing things. They're going to find solutions that you never dreamed of. And again, they're going to figure ways to hang that triangle on their pocket, things that you would have never crossed your mind. I would ask you, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact me directly. My contact information is here, as well as I would encourage you to take a look at IBM. We have a website, ibm.com/social, where you can get an answer to a lot of these questions and see a little bit about what we're doing in this area. So again, thanks, and I look forward to hearing from you and carrying on this conversation.